I say this with so much love, so much compassion, so much understanding and support, because I love you and God loves you. But now is the time to let go of all toxic relationships. Remember, we're still in Venus retrograde, and we just had this full moon eclipse in Virgo. And this full moon eclipse, what did it illuminate? It was a full moon, a full illumination, illuminating the shadow aspect of ourself, the things that have been hidden in the depths of our soul, that have been repeating cycles in our lives that need to be broken. And because it was in Virgo, it's specifically identifying relationship things that have stunted you from birthing the best version of yourself. Okay? And Venus retrograde is all about relationships, about self-love, your love life with romantic partners, and your love relationships with parents or family members or friends, how all that is looking in your life. Okay? And it's readdressing these things and getting rid of toxic cycles, toxic, unhealthy relationships that do not serve your best interest, serve your greater calling, your greater purpose, your highest self. Okay? So we have got to, as women, we have got to break this cycle. Okay? And I speak as someone who has, experienced the same things. Okay? I understand that, especially in relationships, that oftentimes men can sell us something that is just not grounded in reality. And they can promise the world and deliver on little to nothing. Okay? And us as women, we are nurturers, and we want to see the greatest potential in everyone and try to nurture and grow that. But we have got to let that go. We have got to let that go, ladies. Like, we are on a assignment from God, and that has to be our highest calling, has to be our highest focus. Okay? It has to be. And any man that God has for you has to be aligned with that purpose. They should come and they should help lighten the load and free you up to be able to reach and fulfill to your greatest ability your highest calling, your destiny, what God put you here on earth to do. Okay? Aside from that, we have to break these generational curses of where we're putting up with men that don't want to change, and it's at the cost of our mental, emotional, and physical health, and the mental, emotional, and physical health of our children. Okay? Because if we think that our children aren't seeing what's going on within our relationship and how we're being treated, we're being blind. And I know a lot of times we don't do this purposely. It's a subconscious cycle and curse that has been passed down to us generationally, and we think it is normal, but it's not. It's toxic, and it has to stop. Our kids are suffering because of our bad decisions, and because our obsession with feeling like we need a man. And this has been programmed in us from society that women need a man. And we don't. We need God. And God, at the right time and with the right person, will provide us with a godly man who will add to us, not take away. Right? And as a child myself, and this goes both ways, like for men and women, okay? Because as a child, I loved my parents. They were loving. They never withheld affection from me. They did the best they could with not understanding the generational cycles that they were in and that they were repeating, right? They did the best they could. But I grew up always knowing and being aware of the fact that my father failed to protect me because of him putting his new wife ahead of my mental and emotional well-being. And my mother, same thing. I saw her in and out of relationships her entire life. And that affected me so deeply as a child. And it made me subconsciously aware that I was not put first. There was a subconscious program of unworthiness, of rejection, of not being loved enough or considered enough, right? Because that's how children feel. Like, why is my mom, like, doesn't she see that this is hurting me? Doesn't my dad see that this is hurting me? And I internalized this, but I never said anything because I was a child. I couldn't emotionally, like, communicate all this stuff. And still, like, it's something I'm uncomfortable talking about to this day because I don't want to hurt my parents. So again, we're always trying to think of everybody else and their feelings while we push ourselves to the side. And so we instill these things generationally and repeat these things by continuing the cycle of needing a relationship no matter the cost, even if it's unhealthy, because we're so terrified of actually being alone. But I'm telling you that if you will allow yourself this time to be alone with God and to be satisfied and to allow Him to work and allow Him to break you of this idolatry and this lack of self-worth, and allow this time to be devoted to loving yourself and what God has called you to do and becoming passionate about you and your calling, I promise you, you're going to see some major shifts in your life, and it's going to heal you. It's going to heal your children. It's going to heal your bloodline, future generations, and past generations. If you will just take this time. Take this time. And I promise you, that crusty dusty that you're like tripping over is still going to be there. Still going to be there. So if you want to go back to that, then you'll still have the opportunity for that. Okay? They're still going to be there. They ain't going to find nothing better. Like, they're not. So, I mean, if you're worried about losing him, like, you know, he'll still be there, I'm sure. Take this time. Take this time for yourself. Take this time for God. Take this time for your kids. Take this time to discover who you are, to love who you are. And understand this, ladies. Understand this, that God is divinely aligning kingdom marriages right now. So this is a window of opportunity where God's trying to get you into position with a man of God that is like solid, like Queen Esther. He married her off to a king. Okay? God is trying to marry you off to a king, to an influential man of God who's going to help position you in a place and in a mindset of influence, so that you can further reach your destined goals, so that you can have support in what God has called you to achieve, to bless His people, to save His people, to use you in a position of influence like He did Esther. So while you're wasting time crying over a man who has no respect and who doesn't want to change, doesn't want to put in the work, just wants to feed off of you and your life force and your blessings and drain you and delay you, you're going to miss an opportunity to be aligned with a true man of God. And I'm not saying anyone's perfect, okay? No one's perfect. It's not what I'm trying to say here. But you know that a lot of these men are not even meeting the bare basic minimum. Okay? So think about it. Okay? Think about it. Think about it. Do you want to keep going round and round in circles, taking on this man who is a project? Or do you want to actually put yourself first, put your kids first, put God first, know your worth, stop playing head games, stop allowing people to play head games with you, so that you can actually be blessed with your kingdom spouse who's aligned with you, that's not a project, that's going to help you fulfill your responsibilities that God has given you, that's going to build you up, that's going to free you up, Do you want to leave those friendships behind that are draining you, that low-key put you down, that are gossiping about you, that are making jokes, like backhanded jokes, like that you can't really trust, but you're too afraid to be alone, so you just hang out with them? Or do you want to like separate yourself, know your worth, walk away, and allow God to fill your life with friends that are worthy and that have the same heart as you and that give back to you mutually? So this time, you know, we're still in Venus retrograde until I believe it's April 12th. So this whole time, and we're coming into another eclipse. We just had the lunar eclipse that was illuminating our shadows so we can come out of these generational cycles that have been passed down to us and normalized. And now we're coming into a solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, so God is doing some major shifting right now, and some shifting of the mindset, breaking us free out of cycles so we can step into the whole reason why we're here, the whole reason we had to go through all these things and learn all these lessons. Okay, so do the work, pass the test. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna pay off. Break the cycle.